Our next speaker is Julie Allison Spencer. How does antibiotic resistance spread in tuberculosis?
My grandma had an antibiotic-resistant infection for the last 11 years of her life. That's why I chose to focus my dissertation on antibiotic resistance. So zooming into a specific disease, tuberculosis is alive and well on the planet. Over 10 million people every year become infected, and 600,000 of those cases are antibiotic resistant. Yet the treatment effectiveness rate for those is only 54%. This situation could become worse. Tuberculosis is caused by a bacterium, Mycobacterium tuberculosis, which usually multiplies in the lungs. It passes through the air by coughing, and after a resistant strain has evolved in a person's lungs, that also passes through the air exactly the same way. But is this mechanism sufficient to explain the incredible diversity of TB strains we see in the world today? Resistance can spread another way, by horizontal gene transfer. Here's an illustration. I have blue eyes. My daughter inherited blue eyes from me, but what if I could give the genes for blue eyes to my friend? That would be horizontal gene transfer, and it's what happens every day when the genes for antibiotic resistance jump between cells of bacterial pathogens. Most researchers do not believe this is happening with TB. However, there are 3 different kinds of horizontal gene transfer. The first is when a gene swims through a tube to get into the other cell. The second is when it's sucked in from the surrounding liquid. And a third kind is when it hitches a ride on a virus that attacks bacteria called a phage. Could phages be spreading the genes for antibiotic resistance? I investigated this question by analyzing 67 whole genomes of antibiotic-resistant tuberculosis, and I was looking for regions in the DNA that unexpectedly showed sequences recombining. I found 33 signatures of recombination, and some of those had antibiotic resistance functions. So we already knew that resistant TB strains pass through the air, but now we suspect that phage could be spreading the actual genes for resistance. I hope that my research leads to new treatments to help alleviate the kind of suffering my grandma had to go through.
Thank you, Julie. Tell us where you're from.
I'm from Los Lunas, New Mexico.
Great place. I have some roots there, as we talked about as well. So you got interested in this because of your grandmother or for other reasons as well?
Yeah, so when I was a teenager and my grandmother was in a nursing home with this infection that just would not go away no matter what medicine they gave, I had that question of why isn't the medicine working? But then when I went to graduate school in biology, I became interested specifically in bacteria because they have a short generation time, and it's a good way to get insight into what is going on with evolution.
Oh, great. Thank you so much.